Hi guys, it's Angel, and I'm here again for Cooking with Angel. Today is our Mother's Day episode, so appropriately, I have my lovely mother here with me today. This is Miss Phoebe.
Good afternoon.
You might have seen her 2 shows ago, and we were able to do some cooking and have some chatting and things like that. I want to also say hi to everybody who's listening on the S&D podcast channel. And this is going to be an episode all about Mother's Day brunch. So today we're going to make for you some quiche, billionaire bacon, and also we're going to do some strawberry jam. So these are all very simple things that I think moms like for Mother's Day brunch. I know I would be happy to eat them. What do you think?
I am very excited about eating it after the show.
Yeah, exactly.
Not waiting till Sunday.
Right, exactly. So basically, we're gonna get started with the quiche, and only because that's the thing that's gonna take the longest to make. So hopefully, we'll be able to show you what it looks like before the show's over. So in order to start the quiche, this is a recipe. Let me just get by for 1 second.
Sure. Thank you.
This is a recipe that I got online, and I actually wound up doing it a little bit differently than the way it's recommended. If you go online, it is the spinach and bacon quiche from Paula Deen, but I did it a little bit different than Paula Deen. I'm not a fan of heavy cream myself. I don't usually have it in the house, and I don't know, it's just not my thing. So instead of the heavy cream, what I do is I like to use cream cheese and also milk. So the first thing you're going to need is a pan. I have this lovely pan here. This is a gift I got. It's like a Martha Stewart for Macy's kind of pan. And it's dishwasher and microwave safe up to 450 degrees. So we have the oven already preheated to 375. And what we're going to do is I did not make my crust myself. You could do that if you wanted to. That's fantastic if you like to make your own crust. But these are quick and easy. So I figure most people, if you're not too comfortable in the kitchen, you're going to just want to pick one up. So
you could, if they want to save time,
right?
Because it's Mother's Day,
Mother's
a lot of
Day.
Activities.
You got the kids, or people are coming.
Gift opening.
Yeah, there's a million reasons. You could also do this crustless. So if you don't have a crust, you want to make it, and you could do it crustless. Also, somebody asked me that actually earlier today. The only thing that I would say, if you're going to do that, is butter the dish before you do it. Only because you don't want it to stick. And I also went online and I looked up, if that is really true, should you butter the dish? And it is true. So
doesn't that make it keto without the crust?
It does. And if you want less carbs too, that's also good. So we don't care about that in my house right now.
Not right now.
Not right now. We did about a year ago, but right now we're just like all about eating and just enjoying life and, carping that DM and enjoying, just family time. And we're really grateful that mom is able to come visit, because for a while she wasn't, because of this whole pandemic situation. So we're just happy that we're going to be able to spend Mother's Day together and just, have a nice time. So I just want to say hi to Teresa, Lizette, Marzetta, Angelica. I see you ladies on there. Thank you for joining me. Okay, so all I did right now was just lay the crust onto the pan. Now what you're going to want to do, see it's right here, is also just stick your fingers in it. Not too crazy, not too fast, because you don't want to rip a hole in it. If you do, that's okay. You could just patch it back up. And you're just going to want to flatten it almost like into the corners of the pan.
Are you trying to get the air out, or?
I'm just trying to make it so that when you fill it, it's filled in fully, We want to get all the goodness in there that we can get it. Angelica says it's so awesome to see you and Phoebe. So, yes, it's awesome that you're able to make it online. I know you had asked me also about the crust. So like I said, you could do it without. It's okay. It's not a big deal. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is combine 6 large eggs, the cream cheese instead of heavy cream, salt and pepper, and whisk it together. Now I'm going to also be making this with bacon, but it's going to be fakin because my mom doesn't eat meat. You can make it with regular bacon, of course, but we have the fakin over here, and it will be just like the same way with the regular bacon. You just crumble it up and you'll put it into the mixture. And as you see it goes on, it like all kind of gels together and does its own thing. So I'm going to leave this here. I'm going to make my spinach. Now, I've done it before where I've actually boiled the spinach. I prefer to saute the spinach only because the least amount of water that you have in this thing, the better. Because it takes so long to cook if it has a lot of liquid in it. So again, the way I boil the spinach, the way I saute the spinach is I go ahead and turn on the pan. I'm going to put in some butter. I'm going to put in the spinach. I'm going to put in some garlic and a little bit of red pepper flakes because we like heat in my house. If you don't like that, that's okay. You just do it however you guys like to eat your spinach. But I would recommend to do it on the stovetop as opposed to, like boiled or even steamed. It's still going to be a little bit more wet. This is going to dry it out some. Okay, so let's start with that. And Mom, if you want to start cracking the eggs.
Absolutely. Putting them in here?
I'm actually going to use that for something else. So I have a bunch of bowls there if you want to grab a bowl. Hey, Jim and Kathy. So good to see you guys on here. All right. Just going to throw some butter into this pan. Once it melts, I'll throw in the spinach. It's still frozen. You could use fresh spinach also. It doesn't matter. Oh, okay. So being as such that it is Mother's Day here on Cooking with Angel, this is my grandmother's little egg holder thing. And she had this, how many years?
Ages. Absolutely ages.
Forever, right?
This thing has to be well over 30, 35 years old.
Yeah. So this is something that I, was able to keep from when she passed away. And I don't really use it because I don't want anybody to break it. Like, I'm always afraid, But I said, let me just bring it out. You could put eggs in here. And it's just, Spanish people, we always like to have a rooster in the kitchen. I don't know why. It's probably some like superstitious thing that got passed down. But anyway, this was my kitchen rooster for a while too. So in any case, it reminds me of her. I know some of you guys knew her. So this is like a little tribute to Grandma,
Bring her into the kitchen today.
Yeah, bring her into the kitchen today. So my butter is melting. I'm going to go ahead and just throw the spinach on here with the garlic and the chili flakes, okay? And all you really need, honestly, is like half a tablespoon of the garlic and like a quarter tablespoon of the chili. It just depends on, what you guys like to eat. I would probably not go more than half a tablespoon on the garlic. But, it depends on you and your family. I'm just going to sprinkle those guys on. And just let it cook. The next thing you're going to want to do is chop up the tomatoes. That's something else that goes in here.
How do you want them chopped?
So with the tomatoes, again, you're going to want to avoid too much moisture. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take a knife and I'm going to go ahead. Hey, Tanya. I'm going to go ahead and just chop them up and try to avoid as much as the liquid as possible. So just a regular chop is nice. I'm going to cut them into little pieces. This is going to start floating around inside the quiche. So you don't want like a giant mouthful of tomato when you're trying to eat, your quiche. You just want it to be like little pieces. So I would probably just dice it. Again, trying to avoid the insides, the seeds. Maybe just put these to the side and concentrate on the outer portion of the tomato. No, that's okay. You have the eggs there, Mom? Okay, so she's just eating the eggs. And the next thing we're going to put into the eggs is the milk. So calls for 1.5 cups of heavy cream. So we're going to just put in that amount in milk. That's my hubby. He's helping me here too. This is like a family production for those of you that don't know. And I'm really, really grateful to like everybody for being so supportive of my cooking endeavors here. I mean, I know that I do bribe them later on with food, but
that's why we stick around.
Yeah, but it's not that easy. Sometimes it gets a little crazy around here when we're prepping for the show. All right, so I got my tomatoes. I'm going to do 2 tomatoes in here and just dicing them. Again, you can do it depending on how big your pan is. If you have like a smaller pan, you could use less ingredients. So I'm just going to throw those tomatoes in there. Okay. And then we're going to get 1.5 cups of milk. Okay. Let me just chop this guy up real quick. Okay, and just to remind everybody, right now we're starting with the quiche because that takes the longest to make. It is a tomato, spinach, and bacon quiche, but for us, we're going to be using the bacon because my mom doesn't eat any pork, and she's actually pescatarian, which, you know, she eats the fish, but not any other meat. And we're going to just dump the insides of the tomato out because we want this to cook and it's not going to be too wet. All right, so my mom is helping out with the bacon. She's just cutting it into pieces, and that's something you're going to want to do. You're going to want to cook your bacon in advance. You could do it actually right now too, but if you could do it in advance, it would be good. And that way, you could just crumble it and put it right in and make it easier for yourself. All right, so I don't want to waste the top of the tomato. There we go. All right, so we got the 2 tomatoes. I'm going to just get the milk, which is, yeah, it's in the fridge on the door if you don't mind. And let me move around the spinach a little bit. Okay, there we go. All right, so we got the 6 large eggs beaten. We're doing the 1.5 cups of milk. I'm actually going to just do, yeah, if you don't mind. I'm going to just do, hey Jessica, the 1 cup of milk for now and see if that's enough for this pan because I don't want it to be too much. I don't want it to really overflow. And then because I'm not using the heavy cream, I'm going to use cream cheese. Now that kind of happened organically. It wasn't something that, you know, I read in a recipe or anything like that. I just, like I said, I don't care for the heavy cream. And so it actually is really delicious, we found out, because if you bite into cream cheese while you're eating the quiche, it's like a nice little surprise for your mouth. So a little party. So that is really, really good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put in the cream cheese. Let's see what this does.
So are you putting in 1 8-ounce?
No, not even a whole bar of cream cheese. It doesn't need that much.
What size is that?
This is an 8-ounce bar of cream cheese. This one is. And I'm probably going to put in half. So I would say 4 ounces then of the cream cheese. It's just nice. It's like a nice little surprise. And I feel like it thickens it up too. So this is kind of like a secret ingredient.
Yeah.
All right, so there's the cream cheese. And we'll just put this to the side. And let's see. All right. Now, the other thing that really makes it your own is the, thank you, the kinds of cheese that you decide to put in there. So for us, we put in all different kinds of cheese before. And again, you're going to want to cut up the cream cheese into little pieces because you're going to mix it in with the batter. So we've done it with Asiago, we've done it with Havarti, we've done it with the Gouda, mozzarella, we've done it with straight up cheddar, provolone. There is actually at Aldi a cheese advent calendar. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that. I really love it. It's delicious. And we actually made a bunch of quiches with those cheeses. So they're like smaller pieces of cheese, and then we just mixed and matched them and put them in the quiche depending on, you know, our mood, how we were feeling. And the nice thing about the quiche, if you're like me, you've been cooking pretty much every day since this thing started. It's nice for breakfast, and it's something that you could just have really quick. once you make it. So just heat up a piece, in the morning and have it with your coffee or whatever juice. And it's just like a really nice breakfast. You're eating the eggs, you're eating the spinach, it's healthy in a way. And
your eggs.
I'm waiting for Lillian because she's always the one who's like, this is also healthy. Like, she makes fun of me because I'm always saying things that are, maybe not considered by everyone to be healthy are. So, all right, again, I'm just separating the cheese. Hey, Belinda, it's nice to see you. And I'm just going to throw that in there. Okay, so we have the eggs, we have the milk, we have the cream cheese, the spinach is on the stove, we have the bacon. Mom, do you want to just throw the bacon in for us? And then we're going to put in our different cheeses, and then we're going to put in salt and pepper, and that's it. Like, literally, that's it. You're going to stick it in the oven at 375, and it's going to cook for about 45 minutes. Now, the reason I didn't put in a whole 1.5 cups of milk is just because I don't want it to overflow or be too full. But if I find that it's not enough in there for the pan that I have, then I'll add a little bit more milk. It should be fine though.
So Angel, do you know that if they make a lot of batter, would it keep for a couple of days?
Yeah, it'll keep for a couple of days. I would say probably like 2 or 3 days at the most.
If you wanted to make it a little bit in advance?
Yeah, you could. You could also make little quiches, which is so nice. You can make little pans. I get really excited about food. Hey, Helen. You can make little quiches, and you could freeze them after you bake them, right? That would be really cute. You can make this for a party and make a whole bunch of little quiches and pass them out, at the party or whatever. That would be great. I would love to be invited to your party and eat those. There's a bunch of stuff that you could do. So I'm just mixing it up. Right now, it looks like this. Oops. Did I get wet? Yeah, a little bit. I can't really show you because
it's very wet.
It's very wet. But we're going to just add our cheese now. So I'm going to go ahead, and in my house, we had this mozzarella. So this is about, I would say, 3 ounces of mozzarella cheese that's already shredded. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that right into here, into the bowl. And then we have some sliced Havarti. And that's the fun thing too. It's going to melt. So if you have a block of cheese, you could use some of that. If you have sliced cheese, you could use some of that. If you have the shredded cheese. So in this recipe, we're showing you each kind. We have sliced, we have shredded, and we have block. And then you'll see that it doesn't matter. You like to make it with cheese on top.
I do, and because I do the crustless,
right,
for the lesser carbs, I have actually lined the pan with slices of cheese, and then that gets crusty.
Which is
and
delicious.
The top gets crusty too, so you almost feel you're cutting into something, and you almost feel like it is a crust. Ideally, if you like the what is that? The pepper jack. If you like the jalapenos, if you like the sun-dried tomatoes, Parmesan cheeses that come out, there's a huge. I'm a cheese aficionado. Anybody who knows me that.
She does.
I am. This is my life.
Yeah,
cheese. I had breakfast of cheese this morning. So cheese is very near and dear to my heart, as it was to my mother, and I'm sure that's where we got that love for cheese from.
Even my daughter loves cheese.
Yes, she does.
She eats cheese every day. She loves cheese.
And because of that, it's exciting to try something different when you make this yourselves. And if you're going to do it for someone as a celebration, you find out what kind of cheese they like.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, you could just use cheeses that people generally tend to like.
Common cheeses.
Like cheddar. A lot of people like cheddar. Swiss. A lot of people like Swiss.
So we put in Edam.
Asiago. Yep.
We put in Santina.
Yeah. So the spinach is done. I'm just going to let it cool a little bit. Could you pass me that trivet right there, please? And then once it's cooled down a little bit, then I'll throw it in the quiche as well.
Pat it a little bit.
It's dry.
It is.
Yeah, that's the good thing about, and this was frozen, so it's not like it, was fresh, and that's why it's dry.
Right.
It's just,
that's really good.
You can see it's not very liquid. So these are kind of like the tricks you pick up as you make this kind of stuff a lot. All right, so I'm gonna just take
Cut the
probably,
block.
sure. I'm gonna take like 3 or 4 slices of this cheese. We had the 3 ounces of the mozzarella. And actually, I already started cutting some if you want to just chop up that cheese. So, and it's going to have a lot of flavor because of the different kinds of cheese. And then the spinach has seasoning, and then the tomatoes, and then the bacon obviously has salt and seasoning as well. So in my house, we don't really eat a lot of salt so much for health reasons. And because the cheese has so much salt already in it, I'm not going to add salt. I'm just going to add some pepper. If you like salt, you could always add it later on. My mom loves salt. She's salera. I don't know if you know what that means or whatever, but if bien salera, she loves her salt. So she understands, we don't do a lot of salt here. So she'll just sprinkle it with salt.
Yeah, I sit with the salt shaker.
Yeah. I keep it next to her chair at the table. All right, so that is done pretty much. Again, we're just going to put it in there. And you know what? If you don't eat meat, or if you're looking for other things to put in it, you could put...
I'm going to put more cheese in there.
Okay, go ahead. Put more cheese.
Nothing.
That's fine. If you don't eat meat, you could also put more like onions. You could saute the mushrooms. You could saute the spinach with onions and garlic. It's up to you. But this is just like a quick and easy way of making it. So just going to mix it up. And again, this is going to melt. All the cheeses are going to melt in the oven.
You don't have to cut it too small.
No, don't worry so much. The only thing that you really are going to want to make sure that you get closed up, like cut up into smaller pieces, is the cream cheese, because that is really like the surprise in your mouth ingredient, and the tomatoes. You don't want anybody to get like a giant mouthful of tomatoes. Hey Jennifer, hi Chris. It's nice to see new faces on here, new names. All right, so the spinach is a little bit more cool. I'm going to go ahead. Oh, we have some more cheese here. I'm going to put that in first.
So Havarti has a very, like mozzarella, it's very easily melts.
Very melty.
Very creamy.
Very creamy.
It's a very creamy cheese.
Yes, so we have the mozzarella cheese in here. We have the Havarti. We have the sharp cheddar. That's the other one that we put in. And then obviously the cream cheese. And then we have the milk and the eggs. And I'm about to put in the spinach, the tomatoes, and the bacon. Okay, so the cheese is mostly in. You have a little more cheese you're trying to sneak in here?
No.
I think she does.
No,
okay.
The cheese is for later.
The cheese is for later. You hear her? That's okay.
I promise you'll see it.
All right, and then I'm just going to throw the spinach in. Again, this was made with butter and also chili flakes and garlic powder. And like I said, you could just saute it with onions and garlic if you like. It's up to you. If you're like me, you're trying to cook as fast as possible. You got kids, you got your husband, you got your mother, everybody's hungry. And it's like, just get it done. Okay, so I really love the spinach in here. It makes it look very pretty. It's very Florentine with this spinach in here. And we're gonna go ahead and put the pan on a baking sheet. Let me grab this one. One of my handy dandy new baking sheets. I'm gonna just go ahead and put the pan on top of it in case for any reason it boils over. And that's just a good tip to do in the oven anyway. All right, so put this guy right on here. You want it to add more cheese or no? You're good? All right. So I'm gonna just try to incorporate everything. You could use a standing mixer if you have one on a low setting also. But I just did this by hand. All right, and we're gonna fill it up. It's gonna look really beautiful when it's done. I've made it a couple of times. You want it to have a slight wobble, just like the flan that we made. But you're also gonna wanna check it with a toothpick. Okay, so see, the 1 cup of the milk was just enough. You don't want to overfill it. And again, if you have like a more shallow pan, you could lower the amount of eggs, the amount of spinach, the amount of tomatoes, etc. You know? All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and put it in. I don't know if you could see it. I'm gonna see if I could just move the portal a little bit. When I have my professional camera people at one day, it'll be a lot easier. Okay, there you go.
Yes.
So it's really beautiful once it's done. And I'm gonna put it in 375. I'm gonna start with 40 minutes and I'll probably need some more time. All right, as we do that, the next thing we're gonna do is the jam. Okay? So, the strawberry jam is super easy to make, and I find it to be something that is pretty impressive when you tell someone, I made my own jam. I've done it before with some ladies that I'm friends with, and it was really fun. So I'm going to just go ahead and get started with that. Mom, if you want to start beheading the strawberries, that would be great.
Off with their heads.
Off with their heads. And this is a recipe that I got from Ina Garden, who, if you're watching this, Ina, you know I love you. I went ahead and sterilized the 2 jars that I'm using. This should be enough for 2 jars worth. So each jar is about a pint. To sterilize them, what we do is we can put them in the oven at 170 degrees for 25 minutes or boil them in a large saucepan with water for 15 minutes. So knowing myself and my lovely job of boiling stuff sometimes, I decided to do them in the oven. So that was a lot easier for me. 175 for 25 minutes. Okay, so this recipe calls for 2 cups of sugar, 1 large lemon zested and juiced, and 1.5 pints of fresh strawberries, hulled and halved. So my mom's just cutting them up. I'm gonna go ahead and just rinse this out real quick. It's so funny, Mom, because I was talking about the podcast, and I was saying that every time I do something, you can hear it, you know? So it almost sounds like, you know, those old radio shows where they're like, and now I'm going to open this can of tuna fish.
The special sound effects.
Yeah, but these are real sounds, guys. This is really what the kitchen sounds like over here. And forgive me, I just, you know, having the 2 kids and everything at home with the homeschooling and stuff like that, sometimes we're not as prepared as we would like to be. But that's okay. You guys are awesome. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get the 2 cups of sugar. And I'm just using white granulated sugar. We're going to use brown sugar later, but that's going to be for the bacon. Okay? So I'm just going to dry this up, of course, because I'm using the sugar, and I don't want it to get caked on. Hey, Ronnie. Okay.
How much of this did you want, my dear?
1.5 pints, so you have 2 there. So just like maybe leave 5 or 6 out.
Yeah, we're going to need a few out for later.
And we'll use those later for the pictures and stuff like that. All right, so let me get my sugar, which is over here. And I have a stock pot now. Thank you, Miss Janie. So that is really exciting. And I'm going to use that for the jam. And the cool thing about the jam is it's something that you can save. You can put it in the fridge. So right before I put the jam in the jars, I'm going to want to heat up the jars a little bit. Ina Garden always says hot jam in hot jars. And it's going to be hot. So unless I wait for it to cool, and then I can put it in the cool jars. Either way, it doesn't matter. Just make sure they're the same temperature so that you don't crack the jar. That's why. All right, so 2 cups. And this is just generic sugar. You know, it doesn't have to be any kind of fancy stuff. This is something that you can do at home. I know some people have messaged me that they're excited to see how to make the jam. I feel like it's something that's a little intimidating at first. My mom was like, "You're going to make jam?" I'm like, yeah, we got this. Don't worry. So, and again, I've made it before, so that's why I'm not too scared. All right. So, let's see. Is that 2 cups? Yep. Okay, so the sugar's going to go in first. It says combine the sugar, lemon zest, and lemon juice in a small saucepan and cook over very low heat for 10 minutes until the sugar is dissolved. Add the strawberries and continue to cook over very low heat for 20 minutes until the strawberries release some of their juices and the mixture boils slowly. Cook until a small amount of the juice gels on a very cold plate. I keep one in the freezer. So we're going to put a plate in the freezer, and I actually have seen her do this before, and that's how you're going to test to see if it gels. So I'm putting my plate in the freezer. Don't worry, the plate is not going to freeze and break. And I'm going to put this over here. I'm going to get my lovely little lemon here. And I'm going to get my tongs. So Mom was telling me about, tell them about the lemon thing, Mom. With the Rachel Ray lemon thing.
Yes. So I'm a little bit of a news junkie, and the CBS morning news that I watch, when it ends, and I'm usually working, I'm teleworking from home these days. When it ends, I'm usually not paying attention, but it actually goes to a Rachel Ray show. And she was showing us a tip on how to squeeze lemons and ensuring that you don't get the pits into whatever you're squeezing the lemon juice in.
Right.
And I found it fascinating. I shared it with Angel, and it just found it to be a really good practical tip.
Yeah, when we were making the guacamole on Tuesday, it was kind of hard to avoid
The pits.
the pits. Yeah. So okay. So I always wash my lemons first. I have a veggie wash that I use, but I also sometimes just use a little tiny bit of soap. That's just my neuroses. So if you like to do that just like me, then you know we're twins. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a regular grater, and I'm gonna use the smallest side that it has for the zest. Okay. Let me use this plate here. Hey, Amanda. All right, so we are going to zest the whole lemon. All right, and my mom already pulled the tomatoes. I'm sorry, the strawberries. And she's gonna cut them in half. And
They're pretty big. Did he have his not too big?
they're gonna start to melt a little bit, so it's okay. That's, you know, these are not organic strawberries. We didn't have those available, unfortunately. So they're monsters.
Well, these are the sign of the times, right?
Yeah. So when you're zesting your lemon, you're going to want to avoid the pith, which is the white part. That is very bitter. So we're just going to zest the yellow part, the exterior yellow, okay? Until you get almost to the white. And if you don't have a zester, one of the other tricks that I saw was that you could use a regular peeler and peel the skin of the lemon and remove the white pith with the peeler again, and then actually, like, you know, cut it into little pieces. So that is really helpful as well if you don't have like a grater at home. All right, so I'm just gonna grate this up, and she's cutting the
Smells wonderful.
strawberries. Yeah, the lemon smells really good too.
Yeah.
This is something that you could do, you know, in advance of Mother's Day. Like you could make it tonight and then just put the jam in the fridge. That's okay. This is really delicious on toast, croissants, scones.
And how impressed will people will be that you made your own.
That you made your own jam. I mean, who makes their own jam? Yeah, I mean, you know.
It's a winner.
Yeah, Anna Garden does, but okay. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead, and while this is happening, I'm just going to put this to the side and show you guys how to make the bacon, okay? So I'm going to let my mom continue cutting and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the Billionaire bacon, which, let me tell you, is delicious. That is a recipe that I got from a magazine that I have a subscription to. It's called Saveur magazine. It's actually Saveur. And it's really funny because the people who work there had a contest on how to pronounce the name of the magazine. So if you're really bored, you could look up, you know, how to pronounce it, and you're going to see a video at their Christmas party, and everybody's like, Saveur, Savior, Savor. How do you say, you know? So anyway, the consensus was Saveur. So, all right. So the first thing we're going to take is our bacon. And we have our baking pan right here. And we're gonna go ahead and take the bacon out. I'm using Hormel Black Label center cut bacon. A bit thicker of a bacon cut is probably best, but if you have regular bacon at home, that's okay too. It's not a humongous deal. So you're gonna wanna take the bacon out and blot it with paper towels on both sides. And then you're gonna wanna have some light brown sugar on a plate and dip both sides of the bacon into the sugar. Okay. So this is my bacon that I have here. I have the paper towels. I'm gonna go ahead and just lay it on the paper towel. Let's move this, sorry, a little out of the way. And I'm just gonna blot both sides of the bacon. Okay. So this is a little thin. It does get thicker as you put it in the brown sugar. And if you get a thick cut of bacon, that's good too. So I'm gonna just go ahead and press it into the sugar on both sides. And that's it. You don't have to line the sheet. If you find like right now, the sugar is not really like attaching itself to the bacon, you could just pat it on there. That's what I'm doing. Okay? So we're just gonna do that, and then we're gonna put it on the pan. It looks like this, you see?
It also smells wonderful.
Yes, because it's brown sugar on
Yes.
bacon. I mean, that's...
The lemon, the strawberries, the sugar.
Yes. It's another one of those, like, how can you go wrong kind of situations. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the sugar right on the bacon and throw that on there. Okay, there we go. And again, you're just going to keep repeating until your baking pan is fully lined with bacon. And then we're going to put it in the oven. It's at 375. And that's pretty much how you make the Billionaire bacon. It's super easy. And honestly, it's like very an impressive name, you know, for bacon. I know some people put like maple sugar on bacon, like maple syrup, and this kind of a similar taste. So let me just go ahead and put this on there. Okay, there we go. And we're just gonna line the whole thing with the bacon. It depends on what kind of pan you use. This pan is a little bit deeper than one that I would normally use for the bacon, so it's gonna cook a little bit faster. So if you're in a rush, you could use like a deeper pan. Okay, and it's gonna cook for about 15 minutes, 15 to 18, depending on your oven heat. And that's it. So just gonna finish all of this off right here, continue cooking, and probably I'm going to just post up some pictures of what the finished products look like. This is a quick and easy recipes, so this is a quick show. And I hope that everybody has a wonderful Mother's Day. Before I let you guys go, I just wanted to make a couple of announcements. A friend of ours is making some face masks that are like for men. Well, they don't have to be for men, but they have like men's suiting on there, almost like a tie or a bow tie kind of fabric, because that's actually his specialty. His name is Edwin Camacho, and his company is called the Dapper Rocker. And he is making these really, really nice looking face masks for men. So like if you have to go back to work and you're wearing a suit, or if you have an interview, or I don't even know, there's like a million reasons that you could be wearing this.
Making an impression.
Yeah, it's a very impressive looking face mask. It looks like a tie, the fabric. It's really, really nice looking. So I'm going to go ahead and put up a link for that. And then the other thing that I wanted to let you guys know about that's going on is my sister has a company that she works for, which is Casa of East Tennessee. She's actually the executive director out there, which is really nice because she's been working for foster care, related companies for many years. So this is something that she has a heart for, and they actually need some funding They do a lot of work for kids, like in terms of placement into foster homes, and in terms of like, once they're already placed in there, they go to court with them. There's a bunch of stuff that they do. So if you find it in your heart and you want to donate anything, I'm sure they will be very appreciative of that as well. Additionally, there's a company out there called the Bronx Native. I don't know if you guys have heard of them. And they are struggling. The owner had COVID-19 and he's recovering, but they have a lot of events in their space that are like community related events. So their store, they're trying to keep from, going out of business. So I purchased a phone case from them, and they're actually having a sale right now that's 10% off. And so if you wanted to go ahead and look them up as well, and I'll put up a link. It's called the Bronx Native. I'm just, trying to share some information to help small business because I know how hard it is, on a regular day. And if you are struggling financially because of this pandemic, it's got to be a lot more difficult. So if you guys have any small businesses you want me to feature on the show, I can do that as well and mention you. If you have anything you want me to make on the show, I can absolutely try. I'm pretty sure I could do it. I could, make those things as well. And also, so my next guest is going to be Miss Mercedes, and she is actually going to show us how to make curry. It's going to be a curry dish with a Dominican flair because she's Dominican and her husband is Indian. And I've never made curry before, but it's going to be really fun. So that's another live video. It's probably going to be on Facebook Live, and again featured on the S&D podcast. So you can replay it and listen to it, and go from there. So in any case, that's what we have for today. I'm not going to show them how to do this. I'm not going to keep you guys forever. My mom wanted to show one more thing, which she makes, and it's some cheese that she's making here. You want to just show them how cute this is? It's really cute.
I don't know how to show it,
Just
but I'll leave it up to you.
get in front of the bacon right there. Just go ahead and show them.
Okay, so I don't know if you can see what's on this board, but it is cheese, and it's a cheese cutter that comes in different shapes. I'm using the heart right now. And you just take your piece of cheese, just like a cookie press. You press it down. You push it out. And you have a piece of cheese that's in a shape.
Okay, so now we know how to make the cheese in shapes, and also the Billionaire bacon. I'm going to put it in the oven. I'm going to go ahead and put the stuff into the pot for the jam, and then I'll show you guys pictures of everything at the end. All right, so thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope everyone has a wonderful Mother's Day. From me and my mom, we're saying bye-bye, and goodbye to all of our listeners on the S&D podcast channel as well, and have a great weekend. We'll see you next week with the curry dish from Mercedes.
Happy Mother's Day!
Bye! Happy Mother's Day!
No, hey. I was like, I thought you got cut off.